So this is an incredibly monumental week. Welcome. Thank you for being a part today. Had a really powerful conversation for 6.5 hours with Travis and Dan and JC this week about the company, kind of like where we're headed. We've had the year, what we've learned, where we've come, how far we've come, like what we're gonna do, what some of the things that we might need, shifting, adjustment, the message, kind of like what all makes it go. And I saw a quote this week, and Peyton, he sent it to me, and it was a John Melton quote. And he was talking about what a system was. And a system was simply a simple way to expose our opportunity and our product. Like simple messaging that everybody could do. And I'm like, if you want duplication, it has to be simple. Everything needs to simplify so that it works. And so one thing led to another, and clarity started to happen. And this is a pretty exciting call, pretty exciting week. The piece I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to pass it over to Peyton like super quick from me to you, but it's like we're going to do a purge where in October they're going to drop anybody who hasn't ordered in a while, and it'll get, kind of like who's still in, who's not, but it also gives us a month to reach out to anybody that's in the business and see if they want to place an order, get reactivated. It gives you a reason to call them, to kind of let them know what's going on. And it is my sincere hope that tonight's call will be something we could send to them. I promise to upload the last 6 episodes tonight. We recorded them. We didn't always drop them. I'm going to drop them. I've been wanting to watch a couple of them. But if you're watching this right now, there's some great content in the channel. It's just about a topic of on there, all the things paid tonight, the pathway forward, where we're going, what we're going to see. Like tonight's great call for that. And I hope that this becomes something we can send to those people as we have those conversations.
We ready to go here? Can you hear me? All right, let's make sure. All right, good to go. So yeah, thanks for that, Kevin. And like obviously if you're with us tonight, we're all pretty well acquainted. There's some familiar faces, which is always really wonderful to see. And so what I'm going to kind of outline tonight, I think this week coming up, and I think the turning point of the company is going to be really monumental because, kind of referring to this meeting that we had this last week, is that in every single business, whether you are the founders of a company that are starting it from scratch, like these guys did with Active here, or if you're a distributor in the business, right? Like we've all probably had our own experiences where we have been in our career and have worked on getting something going. Everything goes through different iterations. It has to go through a concept. It has to go through execution. It has to go through fault and failure. It has to go through revision. And then it has to go through, another phase of that exact same thing. And so we are at the point where there's really a couple of great things happening. And one of those is that everybody's kind of, like picking their head up after the first year and looking around and saying, okay, what worked and what's great and what came up short and what do we need to do differently to go out there and to really grow this into something that is significant from a company perspective and significant for each and every one of us based on what our personal goals are. And so that's really where we are. And that's so exciting to me for a couple of reasons, because I think great leadership, a mark of great leadership is humility, to know, what your strengths are, and to also to know what your weaknesses or where you've come up short or where you've lacked in accountability. And we really got a sense that there is a sense of humility that maybe hasn't been seen yet, and a lot of consideration to say, hey, okay, like let's make this thing happen. And so one of the things that we started with, before I kind of go into what this kind of vision of a track to run on might look like, is that we all kind of sat around, myself, Kevin, and we did this on our own individual time, and also Travis and JC and Dan. And when we came together, we said, okay, well, what do we have here that we know is good, right? It's so easy to look at the things that are negative or the things that maybe didn't live up to our expectations, but what is good. And unanimously, we could all agree that the green story, the farm, the way that they're being actually cultivated and harvested, and what they're doing for people are absolutely remarkable. They're at a great cost. Anybody that has been taking this product over the course of the last 12 months, one of the things that is really important to me to build a business like this is that I say, if anybody has been consuming this product over the last 12 months, no matter what their attitude is about the company, about whatever's been going on with it or so forth and so on, they are better at a cellular level because they've been consuming this. And so that is one of these bedrock foundations that something of meaning can actually be built from, and then everything else beyond that comes down to, what exact direction do we want to go in? What little like technological problems or challenges do we need to actually correct or change? But at the bedrock of this entire thing is, of course, this incredible greens product and story. And I can't tell you how many people to this day have told me that, they switched from a competing greens product that's very popular to ours and love it for so many different reasons, from the taste to the way that it makes them feel, to positive results that they've had in their body, to even things as simple as they like the way that the single serving sticks tear, that you can always tear them with your hands. You never have to cut them open with scissors. You never have to take with you a pouch that you have to refrigerate. You never have to scoop product. Like the simple fact that you can travel with these and you can tear them every single time and shake them into a bottle, it makes the product something that people want to use. That's part of my experience. It's testimonial that I've heard. So now thinking about, okay, we've sold over $1 million in product. We know that people are having a quality experience with the product, and to say, okay, how are we going to go from where we are to where we want to be, which that is an individual dream for each and every person that's listening to this. And then a collective dream of saying, hey, we're going to have a big company. Maybe that's an 8-digit, 9-digit, 10-digit company. As far as revenues are concerned, how are we really going to do that? And so at the foundation of everything, we have this product. At the foundation of that, we have the retailing of the product, right? So it's like, yes, at a very basic level, we have an opportunity to create a sales force to retail and to distribute massive amounts of active greens, right? But then if you take it one step further, if you look at that, people will and are looking at this as a way to not only just sell some product, but to create massive income, to create income that can impact generations. And that can come in a couple of different ways. This could be maybe an opportunity for somebody to pay off debt and become debt free in their life for the first time in their life. This could be a way for somebody who wouldn't otherwise be able to fund a retirement, maybe put kids or grandkids through college, first generation in their family. This might be something that could replace a career income. This might be the vehicle that somebody looks at and says, you know what? I've always thought that I would take a shot at something significant, and that number is different for everybody. That could be getting into the 6-digit income pay bracket for the first time. That could be getting into the multiples. It could be getting into the 7-digit bracket at some point. But what all of those dreams require is they require the ability to create something more than just simply selling products. Now, we are going to sell and distribute tens of millions of dollars of greens all around the globe. That's the end product of what we're going to create. But to create that, we have to create movement. We have to create a movement, because it's not going to be the effort of one person. It's not going to be the effort of one leader. It's not going to be the impact of one great speaker. It's not going to be because of one owner that we have that result that we are talking about. So if you really think about this today and you're saying to yourself, okay, like I want that result in my personal life, I'm going to propose that we all are going to have to walk on what I'm going to call a foundational ladder. And it's going to be foundations that are going to build upon each other, 5 foundations, and each one builds off the next one. And here's what's so important about this is that people often ask me, they say, how do you build a big organization? How do these big organizations get created? And the answer is that people, and if you've been around something like this forever, you'll hear people say, oh, well, you got to be good at sales. Oh, well, you got to have the gift of gab. Oh, well, that person knows a lot of people. Oh, well, that person already had. And the one that's the closest of everything, although it's not particularly right, is, well, that person has a lot of influence. when you really start to look at what it takes to create something in this space, you have to create influence. And the way that leadership is not a self-appointed title. Leadership is not somebody that stands on stage and shouts at everybody, right? Leadership is not the loudest person in the room. Leadership is somebody who has created influence around those people around them. Somebody can have great leadership in their family. Someone can have great leadership in their church, in their community, in their business, in their job, amongst their social circles. But the way typically that somebody generates great influence is by competence. They generate influence by integrity. They generate influence by doing what they say they're going to do. They lead the way, go the way, and show the way, right? And so this way that ultimately we all have to go in. What's so great about this is that if somebody comes into our business and they want to participate and make an extra $1,000 per month so that they can maybe purchase a new SUV for the family, and that's the extent of how far they want to go, and somebody else comes in, they say they have no actual interest in generating any income from the active greens, but they want to participate with us and they want to drink the product and consume it, and they're just trying to improve their life, and you have somebody that wants to make 6 figures and you have somebody that wants to make 7 figures, each person can facilitate and engage in these 5 pillars and have their life and their community and their family be better for it, regardless of where they want to fit in. But I will propose that in order to reach the highest levels of the business, you will not be able to do that without implementing all 5 of these things. So the way that I want to think about it is that step 1, and the question you can ask yourself today, and the question that you can start asking the people around you, is to say, what is at the foundational bedrock of your nutrition? Each and every one of us wake up every single day and we eat, we consume. The reality is that most people eat and consume 80 to 90% of the same things each and every day. Now, what's the difference between people that are healthier than others? It's just what those 80 or 90% are. But you can start to ask yourself, and you can start to ask the people around you, what's at the bedrock of your nutrition? And most people are going to either say, I don't know, I've never thought about that. Or they're going to be a little bit sheepish and say, well, I mean, I don't know, I probably don't eat too great or whatever. And then, this now starts to open the door for a conversation that's more like, are you doing anything for your nutrients and minerals? Do you have one thing that's good that you can rely on, right? And now we can use the greens to introduce this as the foundational pillar to the entire thing. Because each and every one of us, if we wake up tomorrow and say, well, what are we even doing with this company? Where are we going? What are we trying to create? We can say, well, I'm going to consume my greens because I know that it's going to get me a broad spectrum of minerals, a broad spectrum of antioxidants, a broad spectrum of nutrition that I might not get otherwise. And guess what happens? This is what I've learned over the last 5 or 6 months, is that we all have a dream that we can wake up tomorrow and suddenly be a superhero. We all have a dream that we can listen to Ed Milet, or we can listen to 75 Hard and Andy Frisella, or we can listen to our owner, Dan, and we can wake up tomorrow and we can just perform at the highest level. We can nail our business goals. We can nail our competence and our skills. We can be a great husband, a great, father. We can be a great leader in our community. We can get ourselves in great shape. We start thinking about the Rocky montage and we're like, man, we're going to be getting the push-ups and all this stuff. I'm going to be seeing my 6-pack by 6 p.m. But the truth is that habits only are stacked and formed over time. Like, as I've been getting back in shape over the last 6 months, it hasn't come fast, and it hasn't been, like maybe as effortless as I've wanted it to be. But the truth is about a week or 2 ago, I looked and I said, wow, I'm starting to feel a lot better. What are the things that I'm doing? I'm like, well, I'm consuming, a lot of hydration first thing in the morning with electrolytes and minerals, right? I'm like getting much higher quality sleep. I'm focusing on eating, a quality diet that's focused on lean meats, vegetable protein, and healthy carbohydrates, mostly with some fun, right? I'm focusing on a key couple of different workouts in the gym. I'm focusing on getting my 5 or 10,000 steps in every single day. I'm like, that all came like 5 months ago when I started getting back in shape. I knew I needed to do all 6 of those things, but it took 5-6 months to get to the point where now those are all things I'm doing on a daily and weekly basis. That's the same thing that's going to happen for everybody that ever engages with us that wants to change their health. The same thing that's going to happen for everybody that engages with us that wants to change their money, that wants to change their business, that wants to change their mindset, so forth. So the first one is that pillar of nutrition. The next one is, and again, go with me on this. So we have the branding. If you've seen the new customer site, everything's branded active now. So really, what are we trying to do? What is this movement? The movement is to invite everybody to live active with us. Come live active. We live active. Do you live active? Do you want to come live active? And what does that actually mean? Well, step one is, do you live active in your nutrition? Yeah, that means take the product. And what happens when you start taking the product? Now, oftentimes supplements aren't the very thing that help people get better health. They can help supplement the health, but suddenly somebody takes a supplement and then they get excited about the fact that, okay, I did something good for my health. And now when they go to lunch that day, they don't order the fries, right? And then it starts to snowball things. So, right, we're engaging people in getting active with their nutrition, then getting active with their body. So often we think that we have to go to CrossFit, or we have to go to jiu-jitsu, or we have to like jump into some massive workout program. Did you know the single best thing that each and every one of us can do on a daily and weekly basis for our health is simply to just walk? And even they're talking about now that if you go for walks and you simply just carry 15 to 20 pounds, that alone will get your heart rate into the elevated range that will get you in zone 2 cardio. 120 minutes per week of zone 2 cardio is now what they're recommending to be the optimal thing for people's cardiovascular health in the long term. So it's like, what if we create a movement where it's like, we're just helping people get on greens and go for walks? It's like, how many lives can we change by simply just creating a movement where people look at you and say, hey man, your skin looks really good. Hey man, you seem happy. Hey man, you lost a little bit of weight. What are you doing? You say, I'm just drinking these greens and going for walks. You want to do it with me? Let's drink greens and go for walks, right? And it's like, they say, if you want to change the world, can you look in the mirror and change yourself? And it's like, what if it didn't take a monumental effort, but instead a movement and collective of people doing a few simple things on a daily basis to just make things a little bit better? Drink your greens, take your steps. Number 3 is, are we activating our mind, right? So we're going to, as people start to engage with us, it's like every single person's either listening to constantly negative news on CNN or MSNBC and hearing about like the next doomsday that's going to exist, or looking at, Instagram, like scrolling through it. And like the greatest sin that we've ever made is that we think that somehow the media that we're consuming is like not poison, but it's like, what are we doing to actually put positive information into our brains? It's like, are we in a culture where people are talking about the latest book that they've read, something that had a good insight, something they reflected on, where we're sharing positive quotes and information or clips, or it's like we even have a book club or a book of the month, or people are saying, hey, you know what, this is a skill set that I want to learn in my life. The only way I've ever seen that happen for real is that either one, you have somebody that is extremely oriented towards wanting to consume knowledge, or you have a community of people that want to push each other to actually, learn about things that they wouldn't otherwise. We've all heard it before, but the average person reads the last book they're ever going to read when they graduate from high school at 18 years old. And it's like, that makes half of the world that's illiterate, that never reads, the same as the other half of the world that stops reading when they turn 18. And one of the things Kevin and I did when we were like 22, 23 years old, is we had this entire community of people that were actively participating in reading personal development. And it's incredible when all of a sudden somebody comes and says, you know what, my pest control business got better because I was reading this book and it talked about how I can manage my emotions better, how I can articulate what I want to articulate better. And so this person said something that usually would make me fly off the handle at them, and I reacted differently, and I got the account, and it made my business better, right? And so that's the third pillar of what we're doing, is keeping the mind active. Now, if you're feeding the mind good nutrition, it gets even easier to feed the mind with active information, because now your actual brain is starting to work. And then number 4 is we're going to start to activate income. So this is so important. I'm so passionate about this, is that most people, whatever the dream is that they actually have, there is some limitation to the dream that you want to live somewhere in the realm of income or money or net worth. And so at some point, if we're talking about leading a magnificent life, having, a life of our dreams, growing a life worth living, then we have to teach people how to generate that income. And so what's really fun about this is that the simple pillar of nutrition at the very beginning of it, inviting people to take the greens, go for a walk, so forth and so on, that's going to create active income. That's going to create income to pay a car payment, income to pay for product, income to pay for bills. But now we start getting into these higher levels where it's like, wow, you've put yourself in a position where you now have influence. Your body is looking better. Your mind is feeling better. You have things to talk about you didn't have before. And now that active income becomes the point of where we are actually growing an asset that has leverage, that we can start to get people free. We can start to teach people to increase their income per hour so that they actually can live a life. You know what I mean? One of the things that I think is so fascinating is that 98, 99% of people in the world talk about like, well, what are you making? They say, oh, I'm making 28. Oh, I'm making 35. Oh, I'm making 51. Oh, I'm making 18. And what they mean is hour. And what they mean by that is that they've already decided that, well, they're already going to work 40 or 50 hours every single week and take 2 weeks off per year. But it's like, well, what if we taught people that instead of saying, well, what are you going to do? And how much does that pay? And then what does that buy you? We said, what kind of life would you like to live? And how much money is that going to take? And then what kind of leader would you like to become so that you can generate that? And it doesn't matter how much time you put into it, because the system that you build based off of teaching people these active principles is the one that's actually going to set you free. It's like, what if you had a business that after a couple of years, you're tending to 20 hours a week, 25 hours a week, 30 hours a week, and it might make you an increasing amount of money. Your rate just keeps going up because you're working less and the business is more profitable. That's what we're talking about here, because if you can increase your income per hour, you can reduce the amount of hours that you actually have to work, so that you have the time and the money to go do the things that you want to do. And here's the last piece of the whole puzzle. So follow me here. 5 foundational pieces, starting with nutrition, going to body, going to mind, going to income. And then the last one ultimately is active spirit. And why do I say active spirit? Is that it's so important when you study success and you're around people that have created great results, and you see it could be professional athletes, it could be, very successful business people, is that eventually it's not winning, and it's certainly not money that makes people actually wake up in the morning. You get those things out of the way, you become somebody that lives a healthy lifestyle, because that's the best way to feel and serve the people that you love the most. You can create inspiration with them, but ultimately you have to know what your bigger purpose is. And I'm not here to tell anybody what their bigger purpose is, but what I am here to say is that if you wire down those 4 pillars and you start to get to a point where money is not controlling every decision that you make on a weekly basis, your body feels amazing, so that any activity or any adventure that looks or feels fun to you is something that you're like, shoot, I could do that. I could climb that mountain in, New Zealand. I could go on that bike tour. We could go skydiving. We could go skiing. We could go do any of those things. The things that keep most people from not being able to do those exciting things, now that does not become an obstacle anymore. And in that place, each and every one of us will be able to ultimately find what it is that our passion and purpose truly is. And that may simply be growing this movement to help other people live that life. But inside of those 5 pillars, I believe we can turn this company into something of significance. We can set each and every single one of us free. We can set as many people who are willing or able or want to free. And we could potentially grow to $50 million. We could grow beyond. It just simply becomes on how far do we want to take the mission? And there will be simple steps inside of it. There will be simple ways to teach somebody to come into the business and gather customers. There will be simple ways to teach people how to duplicate their organization and grow 3 by 3. There will be simple ways to do that. But ultimately, this track of, I want to live this lifestyle, and I want to find other people that this is like, you know what? I haven't heard a plan that sounds better than this. So until I find a different plan, I'm going to just do this plan with you. And then I'm just going to keep doing that. And then we're just going to keep doing fun things and helping people. And that sounds like a lot of fun. So that's kind of everything that I've got prepared for tonight. These are all ongoing conversations. Hopefully there's going to be some material to support this. Hopefully there's going to be an entire leadership track that is going to make up the back end of our quarterlies and events and trips that we can win, and something to kind of go with this whole thing, the community end of it. There's of course going to be kind of the simplistic parts of just making sure that we get the rest of like the new website all put together perfectly, and making sure that onboarding customers and new influencers is as simple as it can be. But I think that from everything that I've heard right now, and kind of taking a chance to look back on the last year, the future is certainly bright. And I see no reason that each and every person who is willing, able, and tenacious enough to stick with it for a year. If you already are here with us right now, you stuck with it for a year, to stick with it for another year and a year after that. I think we can all basically write our income and live the way we want to live. So thank you guys so much. I know that was a little long-winded, and hopefully it was exciting though.
Oh, Peyton, a 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. everything, it's like the way it all lines up, like We Live Active, the website we were working on, the Facebook group is called that. It's all coming together in the most like divinely appointed kind of way, where you're like, it's all effortless, magical, fun, and quick, but sometimes it requires effort. And so the couple things that have been going on in my mind are, as I soul searched and talked to people and we had lots of conversations, all the people that got the fundamental result that I want to have happen for me, they put forth a massive amount of effort in launching their business. And it started with like physical effort, gearing everyone towards house meeting. And the house meeting fed in to a meeting that was at a larger sense, because you're having house meetings feeding into a weekly meeting. And the weekly meeting fed into a monthly, and that monthly you'd get an owner at. And that'd be like the first time they get to see the owner, and it's like the treat at the end, and they're all excited, and it's like really powerful and sustains and hits it home, and it's value driven. And so you start to think, okay, that happening, and then the act of like reaching out and sharing product or an idea or a video or something with, like, in my head, 300 to 500 people in a relatively short time frame. I'm like, we all have more than that on Facebook that are friends. Put them in a Facebook group, tag them in a video, that counts. Text them, send them a video, that counts. Direct message them, that counts. Hit up an influencer that's scary and has like hundreds of thousands of followers. Be detached, copy and paste, send it out to a bunch of people. You make $1 on every one of their customers. Let's go. So there's all sorts of ways, but launching the business into a physical event, I started thinking, I've not done the work necessary to have something. And if you want something that you've never had in your life that is that impactful, that would affect generations of your family, you have to do something that you don't normally do to get that. And so when I soul search, I say, am I willing to let go of what the past is? This is question one. Let go of what all those things are. Trust that it will be a bright future and get lost in the work. And then when you come up for air, you've got all the things. That's like the first question. And to me, the second question is like, isn't it an utter act of rebellion when the world wants you sick, diseased, medicated, lethargic, overweight, unhappy, and depressed, and you decide to share greens and help people live a more active life? Does that not put goosebumps on your arms? Is that not an act of rebellion and defiance in a time where the system is coming at us with lies and deceit and an attack on our family, on our life, on the man, on every single thing that we believe, love, and care? Is it not an act of almost downright anarchy to share the greens and get a world on greens? They're trying to kill us with the heart. So we brought the A game. We got the minerals, we got the greens, we got the heart stuff. Here, take a test, drink this, let's go, and share it with 3 others. You know anybody that wants to get rich? Because I do. There's people out there that are getting inflated from inflation, and inflation keeps inflating. And here we're going into an election year. Let the pandemonium continue. It's like a WWE match, and we have the ability to work remote. It pays more than an Uber. It's 50% retail on the product. It's better than the competition. It's cheaper. It's delicious, and you can get it for free if you get 3 customers. Let's go. You know what I'm saying? And so if you were in it and you're thinking about it, you should probably come with. If you're out and you're not into it, just watch. It might pop off and you might have FOMO. You can come back. And hey, if you're good and say la vie, I wish you well. And I'm excited. Maybe if something doesn't work out, come back. But I'll tell you what, I'm going forward. And I know that the people that have stuck on this call are going forward. And if you're watching this video in the future, you're coming with. So that's all we got tonight.